Hey, hello everyone. Happy Tuesday, October 17th. Can you believe it's the middle of October already? I cannot believe it. Edmonton is still seeing some nice fall weather, which is nice because sometimes we are in the thick of it feeling like winter already. Now, that being said, I looked at the forecast next week and it looks kind of cold. And sometimes when we do these market stats updates, I do feel kind of like a weather person because the weather actually does impact our real estate market, especially when the weather changes, because we as Edmontonians sometimes forget that this is normal weather. But if you are listing a home, you want to get that house on the market before the snow flies. And there's something psychological about having the house listed and this first snow is coming. People kind of get worried. Now, if your house is on the market already and the snow is starting to fly, people ideally the buyers are they're getting more motivated because A, the rate hold is going to come up. B, the winter is impending. And so they want to move ideally before the thick of the winter. And for those of you watching who are not from Edmonton, the thick of the winter here in Edmonton is January and February when temperatures go usually in the minus 30 range, sometimes minus 40, especially with wind chill. So people want to do the moving before the end of the year. And so we are going to take a look at what's going on in a real estate market. If you're watching live, feel free to jump on the comments and ask questions, and I will answer them if I can. So we have a last week, in the last 7 days, our listing count is pretty much identical to what it was the week prior. So it went down a little bit. And what does that mean? Listings that are coming onto the market in single family homes, this is not condos, single family home market, there were if there were lots of new listings but lots of sales, it could kind of deflate it. If there wasn't any sales but also not very many listings coming, it could also keep the numbers low. And with it being October, it's quite seasonal for listings to actually stay pretty mediocre from like August basically. And that's what we've seen. We haven't seen the listing count really change. It has gone down. We haven't seen an increase. And if we see a little blip for the week, it's just a blip for the week. So lots of people are not considering selling their home right now. They're wanting to wait until next year. But there are some people that need to sell or they still want to try because there are buyers that are out there. There are buyers buying. And we'll look at the pending sales here in a minute. In St. Albert, you've got the same amount, 203 over 206. Sherwood Park had more. So what does that mean? Sherwood Park had probably more listings come on the market. Did they have less sales? Because if they had less sales, it would have eaten up that market. If they had more sales than listings coming up, the market would have stayed almost plateaued as well. So definitely they're seeing more activity. And Sherwood Park tends to not have a ton of new listings. So when things come up, they don't usually last very long in Spruce or in in Sherwood Park or in St. Albert. Now, Spruce Grove is becoming more popular for people to buy in because it's more affordable than Edmonton, St. Albert, and Sherwood Park. So Spruce Grove has been seeing a fair amount of activity. And then in Beaumont, we have seen a little bit more influx in properties going there too. Now, I also help Sterling out as well, and they have that new neighborhood called La Rev, and their listings aren't all on MLS because a lot of them are pre-sale. So in all these new listing stats, you're not seeing the new build. Now, if you are interested in new build, this is the time to be buying new build. When it's October to December, they're trying to get their numbers right up before the year's ended. So they want to finish the year strong. These are businesses looking to sell versus a personal seller looking to sell. So there's different strategies in what you can take if you're looking to capitalize on that opportunity, because in the few years before, we have not seen them negotiate, and some of the builders are actually negotiating. So if we take a look at the pending sales in Edmonton, the pending sales in Edmonton, there was 148 sales in the last week versus the 125 the week before. So that means more people are writing offers, and that's like what I said earlier, not abnormal. That's actually quite normal for this time. It's October. People want to get those houses written. The possession dates for quick possession, you're looking at mid-November to end of November, even early December now. So right now is the time to make sure you're getting that offer in before the Christmas rush. Now, over Christmas is a time you don't want to take possession because banks are closed, lawyers are closed. It's a bit of a nightmare. So if you're looking to move in before Christmas, you're wanting to move in ideally, I'm just looking at my calendar, probably before the 20th of December, because that following week is going to be a bit of a gong show. So I'd say December 20th would be the latest you'd want to go. And then January, right after that New Year's Day holiday, is then when you can start to aim for. So if you're looking to move in before the end of the year, this is the time to buy. Hence why some of the listings are up and people are getting action. We're seeing out there on the field when I'm showing houses, we are bumping into people when we're looking at properties. So it still happens, especially in that 350 to 450 price range. Now, sold in the last 7 days means how many deals were removed conditions. Sometimes the week before is being removed, but also the week prior, because sometimes conditions are 1 to 2 weeks. Sometimes they're quick, but sometimes they're 2 weeks. So we saw last week, in the last 7 days, a little less sales than the week before for conditions removed, but still a healthy amount in Edmonton. And then in St. Albert, pretty much the same. Sherwood Park, a little bit less. Spruce Grove and Beaumont, just a bit less. So nothing too crazy. It's quite normal. The market's still what we call strong and stable for the fall market. So things are still moving. We're not seeing a downturn by any means at all. This is quite typical. And the listing count is staying in that 2,800. I foresee like it's November, December coming up here. My guess is it might go as low as 2,600, but January, it'll start to come back right back up. So compared to the last year, in Edmonton, we saw 167 sales versus 195. In St. Albert, 9 versus 17. And Sherwood Park, 17 versus 16. And Spruce Grove, 7 versus 16. Beaumont, 3 versus 6. So compared to last year, we're definitely slower than we were last year at this time. But last year was also still kind of weird, right? We had that crazy peak of the market the first 6 months. And then the last 6 months was adjusting quite drastically. And then this year has been what I call the first year of normalization. And so this year, a lot of people, sellers and buyers, had maybe unrealistic expectations of what was going to happen with the real estate market. The sellers were thinking, I can still get last year's prices. What are you talking about? My neighbor just sold for this amount. Buyers are thinking, things aren't moving as quickly as they used to. I must be able to lowball the offer. So I think with the market starting to normalize this entire year, it's becoming more balanced, not just in the market in terms of the sales and the new inventory, also in the minds of the sellers and the buyers, which is really important because then for negotiations, you're going to see a lot less push and pull and a lot more understanding of this is market value. Hey, my house has been on the market for a while, being reasonable and realistic about what's going to happen. Because if you don't sell right now, your property is probably going to continue to decline in value. If your home pops on the market and no one's coming to it, your house is overpriced. That's just the reality. It doesn't matter how much marketing you're doing. There are buyers out there that will buy. And if you're priced, like you're thinking, oh, well, I'll just change it by like $5,000. If your house is priced in a range where people felt comfortable to negotiate, they would have already put an offer in. That's why you see price reductions that are most effective, at least at a $10,000 minimum, to entice the activity to come back because they're saying, oh, well, they've come down. They're actually in a more reasonable range for me to buy in versus feeling like they have to fight to bring that price all the way down to maybe your competitor who is already starting 15,000 lower than where you're at. It's easier for them to negotiate on that one. And for buyers, it's path of least resistance. Now, sometimes there are those sellers that are out there that are willing to negotiate, but it is hard to understand. You have to take a case by case basis. You can't just make that assumption that you can just lowball things at that point, right? So I'm just looking at a comment here. Edmonton rents are rising as they are everywhere. So great time for first time buyers to jump in. Yes. So the rising rental rates we've seen that in the last couple of years because a lot of buyers, especially when the rates started to go up, buyers started to not be able to afford to buy actually. So then they started renting or they were leery on all the multiple offers, didn't want to enter the market and just continue to rent. So there was way more demand for the rentals, and so it started to climb up. If you are a renter that actually is able to afford to buy, then it is a good time definitely for first time buyers, especially this time of year. If you are looking to wait till spring for more inventory, more choices, you will be dealing with more competition with the other buyers that are also waiting for that. And you're looking at people also who are waiting for the interest rates to drop. And we all know, we've heard this all over social media, that when the rates drop, the prices will increase. Now, in Edmonton, we'll see. The market's not necessarily like that. However, it's true because there's people sitting there and waiting. So it's just the law of demand and supply, right? If there's more people that are looking to buy because the rates are lower, it's warmer weather, more inventory is out there. Well, guess what? Now there's more competition because, like you, there's probably a lot of people like you also waiting. So if you're able to just work with a professional to sort out what you're looking for and zone in on what you can find now, there's actually still some really good things and homes out there. It's not all just overpriced listings on the market. There are some really good ones out there. So I am looking forward to chatting with you guys in a few weeks. Next week, I will be out of town for a real estate conference. So I will not be live here on Tuesday next week, but I will return the following week. We still have live videos or new videos every Friday. So make sure to check those out. I'll talk to you guys later.